we're very confident about the rematch, and it will be brutal again. So I can only speak on my behalf, but you know, we've signed for it. Eubank signed for it, and we expect it to happen.
Definitely Eubank, because if I don't do Eubank next, that ship sailed. So it has to be Eubank next. If it's not Eubank, then that.
Blood will spill in September, as British boxing's most savage rivalry is officially reignited. Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn II is locked in, and this time, it's deeply personal. Conor Benn isn't chasing redemption. He's hunting vengeance. He's calling this rematch his last chance to silence the ghost of humiliation that haunts him. But here's the twist. Eubank Jr. already dismantled him once, and now he's promising a repeat performance. No hype, no game.
You won the fight.
I do think I nicked the fight. I wouldn't have minded it going either way. But the score
games, just bad blood. When the bell rings this time, one man will walk away with his legacy intact. The other may be left in ruins. Ben has fired back in defiance, claiming he edged the fight the first time and blasting the judges' scorecards as outrageous. But in doing so, he only highlights a brutal truth. He was never in control. Eubank Jr.'s ring IQ, precision...
Nothing at all, about any broken jaws. These are narratives put out by, people trying to be clever.
Timing and surgical execution left Ben exposed, outthought, outclassed, and outboxed. As the rematch talk grows louder, one reality remains. Ben wasn't ready then. And the second time could be even worse. Adding fuel to the fire, Harlem Eubank, Chris's cousin, has exploded onto the scene, tearing apart the rumors that Ben fought with a broken jaw. According to Harlem, that story is fiction. A desperate...
He'd be a better fighter, We've got a lot to go back. Well, not a lot to go back, just to be able to take his time.
Spin to protect Ben's ego. There was no injury, he said, just a one-sided beating handed down from start to finish. From the first bell, Eubank Jr. imposed his will with calm brutality, while Ben crumbled under pressure. Harlem says history won't be rewritten, because Chris already owns this rivalry. But Nigel Benn sees things very differently. The boxing legend erupted in fury, calling his son's loss a complete robbery and dismissing Eubank Jr. as a phony champion, feeding off Conor's worst night.
Very confident about the rematch, and it will be brutal again. So I can only speak on my behalf, but we've signed for it. Eubank signed for it, and we expect it.
To Nigel, the first fight was a setup, one that stole his son's moment. He's demanded revenge and warned that the real war hasn't even begun. According to the elder Ben, September won't be about belts. It'll be about blood. A locked-in, fully focused Conor will rise this time, and he vows that Eubank Jr.'s downfall will be savage. Promoter Eddie Hearn has officially lit the fuse. The rematch is not only signed, but fully sealed for a September collision. And Hearn isn't pulling any punches either. He promises the second fight will be more brutal, more personal, and far more
we'll decide whether we do the rematch or drop down to natural weight 147 and fight for the world title.
Explosive than the first encounter. Every contract detail is sorted. The gloves are off. With both men now obsessed with legacy and vengeance, this fight isn't about money, it's about war. Ben is out for redemption. Eubank is out to crush him. And the boxing world is bracing for chaos. Ben's trainer Tony Sims has also entered the fray with fierce criticism. According to Sims, the idea that Eubank Jr. dominated the fight is pure myth. In his eyes, it was Ben who outworked and outsmarted his opponent in the critical moments. He blasted the judges' scorecards as a disgrace and called the outcome daylight robbery.
You saw that. Junior is too big a man. These weights that they are flouting they're destroying the...
Sims believes Ben showed more heart, aggression, and tactical sharpness. He insists they've studied the loss, adjusted the plan, and will return with fire. But here's the problem. No matter how passionate Sims is, the cold truth remains. Eubank Jr.'s discipline, ring IQ, and dominance still cast a long shadow over the Ben camp. Chris Eubank Sr. didn't hold back either. He branded the fight a complete mismatch from the opening bell. He ridiculed Benn's extreme weight-cutting tactics as not only unprofessional, but dangerous, a stunt that backfired brutally. According to Senior, Conor was physically and mentally unprepared for the challenge. Meanwhile, he praised Junior's supreme conditioning and discipline.
I think there's a rematch in the contract, so there's no doubt that they'll run that one back and do it all over.
Claiming the gap in class was obvious. It was never a fair fight, he said. It was a brutal lesson. To Eubank Sr., Junior's victory proved that no hype or shortcut can compensate for skill, preparation, and experience at the highest level. Harlem Eubank also wasn't finished. He continued to shred Conor Benn's reputation, mocking his arrogant pre-fight talk and inflated ego. According to Harlem, that ego was a ticking time bomb, and it exploded as soon as reality hit. Ben was never on Chris's level, he said. The fight proved it. He slammed Conor's lack of discipline and focus and warned that no amount of trash talk can survive the truth once the punches land. With the rematch now official, Harlem says this isn't just a fight.
That, Frank, but there's a contractual rematch and he'll have to get to 160 again.
Yeah, but that's if he fights. If he can't get to 160, then how are they going to do it? If he gets to 160, they'll do it.
It's a coronation. Chris Eubank Jr. will end the Ben hype once and for all. Meanwhile, Frank Warren has been left scrambling to justify the disaster. He's clung to rematch clauses, weight-cut controversies, and post-fight narratives, all desperate attempts to mask a brutal reality. Ben was exposed, dismantled, and broken. Warren's obsession with catchweight excuses reeks of damage control. Ben's team looks lost, spinning instead of strategizing, offering noise instead of answers. This isn't rebuilding. It's a panic spiral. The comparisons to Ryan Garcia are no coincidence. Both fighters bark loud but crumble under real pressure, and both have teams more interested in saving face than accepting.
But over the moon, absolutely over the moon. To see Chris get his hand raised, and it's been a difficult camp, it's been a difficult time. I think everyone's seen the pictures, everyone's seen the stories, everyone's seen what he's had to go through. Fair play to Conor Benn because he was phenomenal as well tonight.
Accepting hard truths. Ben didn't just lose, he lost the illusion that carried his rise. And now, with the rematch looming, the truth stings even more. No spin, no safety nets, just the truth. Eubank Jr. didn't edge Ben, he shattered him. The gap in class was undeniable. And as September approaches, that gap might only grow. Ben may scream for revenge. His father may demand justice. His trainer may believe. But belief alone won't save him when the bell rings. Chris Eubank Jr. is calm, focused, and ready to finish what he started. September won't be just another fight. It'll be a battlefield, a blood feud, a legacy war. Let the war begin.
All that fight really showed us last night that a good big un beats a good little un. They're good, they're not great. So Eubank wins the fight. Where he goes from here in terms of world level, I don't know, because I don't want to pour cold water on the fight. Like
Promoter Ben Shalom erupted with pride after witnessing Chris Eubank Jr. deliver a performance soaked in tension and chaos. Despite the endless drama in the build-up, Eubank entered the ring like a man possessed, and what followed was a calculated, merciless dismantling of Conor Benn. Shalom praised Eubank's resilience and mentality, calling the win a defining moment in his career. While he acknowledged Conor Benn's fire and aggression, Shalom made one thing clear. Intensity means nothing when true skill takes over. Eubank wasn't just better, he was on another level. Shalom echoed what even Eddie Hearn, Ben's own promoter, had to admit. The fight was a British boxing war. But
a really good fight. I think it was a lot closer than what it was. Commend Conor Benn immensely because he put on an amazing performance. Remember, he's a welterweight. Never really boxed at world-class level at 160 or around that. Chris has more experience on the world scene than Conor has, but Conor did himself proud. I think the right man.
Only one man walked away untouched by excuses. Chris Eubank Jr., who commanded the ring, silenced his critics, and left with both his pride and legacy intact. In contrast, Benn exited with bruised pride and a broken narrative. Veteran analyst Duke McKenzie didn't mince words either. He called the clash a glaring mismatch, pointing out how Eubank's power, precision, and presence overwhelmed Benn at every turn. To McKenzie, the gap in class isn't narrowing, it's growing. From size and experience to composure and ring IQ, Eubank Jr. operated on a different frequency. McKenzie dismissed any rematch talk as pure delusion. Eubank isn't just better.
If it was so much, Conor surprised me how well he boxed because of the way Chris Eubank must have been feeling, because he was, he looked terrible on the scales, absolutely terrible.
He said, he's the real problem in this rivalry, and Benn has no solution. For him, a second fight won't be competitive, it will be even more brutal. In his eyes, Benn's limitations were laid bare, and no hype can cover the distance between raw potential and proven greatness. But not everyone saw a runaway victory. Johnny Nelson, always honest and unflinching, offered a different lens. To him, the fight was razor close, far tighter than the judges' scorecards suggested. He praised Conor Benn's gutsy display, stepping into a 160-pound battlefield he had no right to command and still putting in a high-level performance. Benn showed heart, grit, and flashes of brilliance under immense pressure. However, Nelson pointed to the moments that defined the bout. When the fight reached its boiling point, it was Chris Eubank Jr.'s composure and championship-level experience that made the difference. Eubank's calm under fire, superior cardio, and tactical poise came through when it mattered most. Benn fought valiantly, but he couldn't outmaneuver a man who's thrived under fire his entire career. Eubank didn't just win on skill, Nelson said. He won on legacy. Billy Nelson added more fuel to the debate, offering a brutally honest post-fight breakdown. Shocked by Benn's improvement, he didn't hesitate to criticize Eubank's dreadful physical appearance on the scales. Drained and sluggish, Eubank looked far from the elite athlete many expected. And yet, despite that glaring weakness, Benn still couldn't get the job done. To Billy Nelson, this wasn't a clean victory for Eubank or a disaster for Benn. It was a confusing, messy war. The real questions now swirl around Eubank's future. Was this a sign of physical decline, or did Benn simply lack the killer instinct when it mattered most? And looming in the background is Nigel Benn, a father, a former warrior, a man who wears emotion like armor. His reaction to his son's loss? It could be anything. Rage, defiance, or cold, unforgiving fury. What's clear is this rivalry is far from over. The wounds are fresh, the questions remain, and September's rematch promises to be even more explosive.